Welcome to Industry Insiders, created and produced by the Center for Entertainment and Hospitality Management at California State University, Fullerton.
During this series, we sit down with influential professionals in the entertainment and hospitality industries that are located across the world.
Our goal is to learn about each professional's career and gain wisdom from their experience in the industry. This week's guest is Katie Pederson. Katie is currently the Director of Special Event Sales and Operations at House of Blues Anaheim for Live Nation Entertainment. Katie is an energetic client services and business development professional with 15 years of domestic and international entertainment industry experience, building successful teams and engaging guests with world-class events. She is a certified meeting professional with experience at companies like NBC Universal Media, The Walt Disney Company, and Live Nation. Please join us as we welcome Katie Pederson.
So we have to welcome Katie Pederson to Industry Insider. So welcome. We'll make that correction in our records there, but welcome to the show. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Hey, no worries. Stranger things have been done. And I actually married myself a gentleman with the last name of Pederson. So I'm actually Katie Pederson. So you get right no matter what you say. So.
That's a good lovely fun fact. Awesome. I have to welcome back to the show Isla for her third time as host. Look at you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're excited to talk to you today. Thank you for taking time and joining us. I think our first question for you would be maybe what has surprised you about the impact of quarantine life in terms of your work and your job and kind of staying busy?
Ooh, I think the strangest thing for me is that I am just as busy, if not busier, than when I was in the office, before everything hit. It is a different kind of busy. It is using parts of my brain that might have gone dormant over the years. It's creativity. It's the ability to pivot in a heartbeat. A lot of, I think what all of us were doing before this was status quo, right? We were moving in the same direction. We were learning, but it wasn't anywhere close to the leaps and bounds that we're having to learn. We're having to get caught up. We're having to change our lives on a daily basis. So, if you had told me last year, oh, next year we're going to have a pandemic and you're going to be working from home for 8 months, I probably would have thought it was a nice vacation. And right now, I think there's a lot of us that would give anything to go back to the old way of doing things and knowing what's coming tomorrow. So.
Exactly. For people who don't know who you are, perhaps you can maybe introduce yourself really quickly and share what your current role is with House of Blues Anaheim.
Sure. I am Katie Pederson. I am the Director of Special Events, Sales, and Operations at House of Blues in Anaheim. My team of 10 run everything that is not our restaurant operations or a show you would buy tickets to on Ticketmaster. Everything that we do is what's called a private event. So that can be a group of 2 people celebrating, some sort of very special moment in time. It can be a group of 4, 7, 10,000 people hosting a giant corporate convention. We do work a lot with our local corporate partners as well as some VIPs. And one of our favorite things to do is to do what Live Nation does best, our parent company, and throw some amazing artists on stage in conjunction with those private events. So every day is something different for us at the House of Blues and Live Nation, but we love what we do. We say that music is in our DNA.
Exactly. Excellent. I'm going to toss it over to my co-host, Isla, and let you ask your first question.
Okay. So how different is your job today from what you thought you'd be doing after graduation?
Oh, man. I don't think I could have ever dreamed I'd be where I am. In a good way and also in a strange way. I went to school in Orlando, Florida. I'm not going to tell you when, but a while back. You can find it on my LinkedIn profile. But I decided to go to school in Orlando because at the time, that's where the music industry was. And that's where, the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and yes, that's what I was listening to at the time.
Yeah.
That's where they were coming out of, and that was just the mecca for pop music at the time. And I thought I wanted to be in the music world, a producer or a music manager. And literally, I think the first or second month I was down there was the Ron Perlman scandal. And the entire music industry in Orlando crumbled within the course of my first several semesters in college. So talk about having to pivot. I don't know that I knew what I was going to do then, but I knew I wanted to stay in entertainment. And so I found a way to worm my way back in and through the entertainment world, no matter whether I was in Orlando or Texas or LA or Orange County. But, I would say that I would never put myself where I'm at, but I'm darn glad I'm here.
Nice.
All right. You've seen a lot of people become very successful in the entertainment industry. What are some important characteristics that you feel translates into success in like entertainment and hospitality?
Honesty. And that's probably a strange one for most people to say in entertainment and hospitality. But the people that have gotten ahead haven't done it under a guise of any kind of immoral or unethical doings. The people that I know that have done it the best are honest. They're upfront. They give it to you straight. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it sucks, for lack of a better word. But they're the people that are going to be honest and fair, and they work hard. This industry is not easy in any shape or form, especially right now.
Yes.
And it's not gonna. I mean, it could be a 9 to 5 if you find the right place and you want to be where you're at for the rest of your life. But to get ahead in this industry, you've got to put a lot more in than the average accountant does, or the average person, sitting in some of these other fields. But the payoff can be immense, and the opportunities to be places and see things can be incredible. But you've got to do it with honor and integrity and honesty, and you've got to be willing to get your hands dirty, but not immorally or unethically dirty. Gotta be ready to work.
Right. You went to Rollins College to get your master's, your MBA. How has that experience benefited your career?
I've done a lot of mentoring of MBA students since I graduated, especially ones that wanted to get into the entertainment world. And I will tell them it's not necessary to have an MBA, but it sure doesn't hurt. I think one of the hardest things for me was when I was in school, and I got my MBA very closely after I went to college. So there wasn't a lot of time out in the industry or out in the world for me. But when you're in school or even in grad school, they feed you these lines about the minimum salary you're supposed to make. And just because you have an MBA, you're supposed to come out being a manager or director. The truth is that may work in some fields, but especially in hospitality and entertainment, you still got to pay your dues. So I came out with a master's degree, an MBA from a very well-accredited college. And my first job in the industry had to be as a coordinator, I had to start from the bottom. But I would say that side of my education, the things I learned, propelled my abilities to climb faster in my career. I had a back-end knowledge of, P&L. I had ability to do cost analysts stuff that, the people next to me had no idea. I could look at something from an analytical viewpoint, and that made me extremely valuable to my company. So necessary? No, but it definitely helped me excel. And I still play on a lot of those things today. Again, however many years later, check my LinkedIn profile. I won't tell you how. But I still use a lot of it today. I was just telling a student the other day, I wish I had paid more attention during my MBA classes, because what I have retained has helped me a lot, but the stuff that I crammed and then, threw out the back door, as you do in some classes, would have been even more helpful to me. So, it's kids, stay in school, listen, learn, put it in your brain, file it away.
How important I'll ask this question first. Like, how important has maybe mentorship been for you as you've made your ascension up? Because your career journey is very inspiring to many students that look going to follow in your footsteps. if we're trying to understand how you got to where you are, how important is mentorship in that path?
I don't think you can put a price on mentorship, and good mentors who are willing to go the distance for you. And those are fewer and further between, but again, are invaluable. I've had a couple people in my life, and as you say that, they're coming to mind, and I have to remember to reach out myself every 3 to 6 months and shout them out again. But they have propelled my career almost as much, if not more, than my own personal abilities have. They put me in the right place in the right time. And in the wrong times, they've reminded me that I'm capable of moving forward. They've given me that stability that I needed when I thought I was going to break and, move back to Ohio. So you need those kind of people in your life. And I do hope that I can be that for those that I've taken on as a mentor in my career as well. Yeah.
Isla, over to you.
Okay, so originally, like when you first started coming to the industry, what drew you in? Did you have a musical background? Were you just a big fan of the artists, or how did you?
I played saxophone for a hot 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah, did a lot of squeaks. No, I was never a good musician. My dad is actually a professional musician, and he's done tours and he's played with, America, and he opened for Edmund McCain and all these really great people. And I loved music from an early age. My mom's a nurse, and so when she would go and work overnights, we'd watch MTV together when I was a little kid. So I think, and those are the early days of MTV. So again, do your Wikipedia searching. That's old.
When they played videos.
Yeah.
When they played actual videos on MTV.
Right.
From that time on, it was like, that was the world I wanted to be in. That was what drew me and inspired me. And, could I have done something else with my life? Sure. And especially in quarantine, people joke, what's your fallback? Well, I can stage houses. I make a really mean piñata for little kids' birthday parties. But what gets you up in the morning? It's always been music. What connects, what stirs your soul and your heart? For me, it's always been music. So, it hurt being in Orlando when everything fell apart around me. But at the same time, I knew that if I got into the entertainment world, that there was a way that I could find my way back to the music. So it's been a blessing for me that, my career in theme parks and animation and restaurants has kind of inevitably landed me back with Live Nation for the last 10 years.
I think Isla is being a little humble because she's a talented piano player in her own right. So she's a musician all the way too. So yes, we must not discount our skills.
No, not at all. You got to own that, Isla. Having those kind of talents is, I wish I could. I can
teach you. I'm teaching. But
you know what? We'll do across the keyboard. How to play.
I got you.
One day I do want to learn how to play the guitar more than just happy birthday.
I know a little guitar, but not that much.
If we continue with the musical theme, if you could sit down with either a musical artist or a producer and just have like a nice long dinner conversation, who would you choose to sit down with?
Living or dead?
Let's say both. So pick one living and one dead.
Yeah.
Living, Garth Brooks.
Right.
His career has spanned so many generations. He's gone through so much, personal triumph and turmoil, and he has still just remained one of, I think, the most iconic, strongest, most, inspiring artists of, I would say a generation, but it's multi-generations, and his music has always spoken to me. I think I could probably talk his ear off and he'd get bored, about talking about who he was. Dead, Prince in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Prince is my icon. If you come to my office ever in the, the dark corners of House of Blues in Anaheim, my wall is covered in art and sayings from Prince. Again, just an incredible musical genius, gone way too early before his time.
Yes.
I think what most people don't understand is how much he influenced not only, rock, R&B, rap, hip hop, in his own right as a musician, but the way that he influenced it through other musical acts. I could sit there and tell you for a day all the songs that he wrote for other people, the things that he's done to inspire other artists, and you can't top him. I think.
Yeah.
And I think we'll only know his incredible magical presence years later when we look back at how great everything was. So
if we're gonna play a Prince three back-to-back Prince songs, what's playing?
My favorite three, obviously Purple Rain.
Yeah, classic.
Purple Rain. Let's see. 7.
Okay. Okay.
Watching fall. Yeah, that. But you know what? That song. Yeah, I could be anywhere in the world, and I will stop and I will listen to that song. And then When Doves Cry.
Ooh.
And I will be super honest with you that my love of Prince actually started circa 19 when Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet came out, and they took When Doves Cry and turned it into kind of a church gospel choir song for that movie. And I went, what is this? This is amazing. And I realized I've been listening to Prince music my entire life. And little whatever I was, 11-year-old, 13-year-old me went, this is my man.
Yep.
Forever.
All right. Amazing. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
We go back to when you talked about you're in Orlando and kind of the music industry crash, but you were able to kind of still survive, get on to your next chapter of your career, which shows resilience. How important has resilience been in your career, and how do you help people who work for you develop that muscle?
Sure. I would say unintentionally, my career has been pocked with resilience about every 2 to 3 years. Go to school for an industry that crumbles, graduate during the largest recession that the country had seen in a century, ended up living in a different state as things started to crumble around that, only to move out here when things were even worse in California. Started at Live Nation, and a couple years into my career here, we're shutting down a venue at Downtown Disney and don't know if we'll ever reopen again. Coronavirus. I would say not much surprises me, but it does. But resilience, I've always gone by that mantra that things happen for a reason. And we may not know what that is, but we'll look back on it years from now and go, oh my God, look at how well that worked. I also tell people that I'm an amazing spin doctor. So no matter what has happened in my life, I can spin it and tell you why it was a good thing and why it put me on the path to where I am. For me, with my teams, it's hard to teach resilience, especially to generations or people that haven't had to go through struggles previously in their life. Maybe this is the first one that they're hitting right now with coronavirus, especially. Right. But I think that what I teach them is that positive attitude, or at least what I come to the table with is that positive attitude. I tell them about my story. I tell them about how, other people's stories and how they've succeeded in life. And from there, I hope that they take away, a little bit of hope for the future. I don't know if you can teach resilience, but I think you can inspire hope and an ability to stay positive, or to try to commit to stay positive. Right.
Yeah. Isla, over to you.
Do you think live events will adopt a new, a hybrid approach post-COVID, or do you think we'll just snap back to where we were? What do you think with that?
As the master expert in all things.
Great question.
Just curious.
No, you know what? I think the world will have to be in a hybrid state for a while now. Mm-hmm. I think that there's not a way for us, especially with this last couple of weeks and the resurgence of cases and stuff, there's not going to be the live events we knew and loved for probably a good year or more at this point. especially not until we have vaccines and,
Mm-hmm.
immunotherapies and things like that. Do I think that's the way of the future? No. May there be some hybrid opportunities? Absolutely. I think what people are understanding these days is that a concert, but you saw this before the pandemic, a concert experience is something that people want to live and relive over and over again. So you look at Beyonce's Homecoming, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't go to Coachella, but you darn well tuned into Netflix and saw Homecoming once, twice, 3 million times, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't available, that at least that kind of immersive experience. People have been videotaping concerts for, 40 years, 50 years, but that kind of an immersive experience, that kind of a behind the scenes experience is something that, I think we're going to see more live stream things and opportunities. I think conventions are going to end up live streaming a lot of what they do from here on out so that people can buy into a virtual ticket rather than just having to attend in person. But some conventions were doing that before this started.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
BlizzCon, one of the biggest video game conventions in the world, they've been live streaming a lot of their information, their talent, their ticketed events for 5-10 years. So I think we're all going to get back into a concert venue. I think we're all going to continue to rock out. I think that there might just be some new and interesting things that come out of this.
What kind of changes can you share with us in terms of what you're doing at House of Blues Anaheim to kind of prepare for when you do reopen and do have the ability to host concerts and events?
Sure. Right now, obviously, safety and security is paramount. So a lot of what we're doing is looking at social distance options for us, even if that does strategically cut back capacities for our venues. So whether that's, cutting down if we've got some of that fixed seating for a concert, cutting out every other 2 chairs, putting in only maximum groups of 4 in places, putting, tape down on the floor and telling people that this is your pod to stand in.
Yeah.
We're looking at options like that from a food and beverage standpoint for events. I mean, that's one of the areas that's going to change drastically in the short term. Everything's going to be covered or individually prepackaged. A lot of it's going to need to be brought to you instead of 1,000 people passing through a buffet. It doesn't mean that that isn't an option. We won't get back to some of that in the future. But again, same thing with the industry. Things are changing. But as I've learned a lot through the years, maybe they're changing in some ways for the better for a long-term potential for us. I think that, I won't speak for everybody in the hospitality industry, but I think there's a lot of us that took food and beverage safety a little bit for granted, right? We went for the bigger, the better, the crazier looking displays, and we didn't have the standards, or the standards kind of walked away a little bit from where they should have been. So I'm really excited about some of the things that are going to be coming that are a part of all of this, because I think they're things that we always should have been doing in the first place that have only just been brought to the forefront.
Yeah, great point. Thank you, Myra, for the comment. If you're watching live and you want to ask a question or say hello, drop something in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. You mentioned live streaming. We're actually live streaming this interview right now. I think it's here to stay for the most part because it's just a way for people who aren't comfortable to still be in the immersive experience. Do you foresee House of Blues Anaheim making any additions to like bandwidth capability, technology based, to really embrace the live stream movement that's kind of here?
I can definitely see that coming. I think that's part of the new norm, right? Is those opportunities to live stream a concert and to buy into those kind of virtual tickets. We're very lucky at Live Nation in general because we've done a lot of remodeling and updating along with a lot of our venues that we've owned and operated and or picked up over the last couple of years. And with House of Blues Anaheim being one of the newer builds in the project, we built it right for bandwidth capabilities. So while I think on a daily we run a 50-50 network, we've got a capacity to do a 500-500.
Nice.
So that's made it very easy for the few concerts that already in our 3 years of operations that have come in that wanted to live stream, we can plug and play all day long. I think what's going to happen for us and some of these other venues is we're going to start owning and operating some of that equipment. At House of Blues Anaheim right now, we've got a fixed camera in our music hall, but we don't have, camera crew. We don't have the switchers and the mixers and the things that you need for more of a production of this and or bigger value for a live stream. We've got it so that you can hear it live. But that was one of the things that's been really interesting about my career is learning the difference between what I'm hearing as a concert goer versus what you want to hear as a mix.
Yes.
If you were hearing it through your computer, through your iPhone, through something like that. Mm-hmm. So I would say that I think that might be one of the ways that things do change in the future. We'll start picking up some of that equipment so that we're better set up for those tours that come through that want to live stream.
Yeah, because you get a lot of, we'll say, like, you get the mid-tier artists a lot. You'll get some up-and-coming artists, and then you also, every once in a while, get like a pretty big artist in there that people will come to. What's your capacity, the maximum? Well, that's kind of an old question now.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, yeah.
Pre-COVID, we're at 2,100 capacity.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
that's for the music hall, and then for special events, we're 3,000 for the whole house.
Yeah, that's like a legit, like serious concert, 3,000 people. And that's very interesting. And go back, when you said 50 up, 50 down, 500 up, 500 down, that means 500 megabytes to download, 500 megabytes to upload as well. That's what you were speaking about, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So I just think if you take into consideration that, a full concert, everybody's live streaming through Facebook Live on their phones, all operating at the same time, that's probably 18 up to the cloud.
Yes.
We can do exponentially more of that. Yes. And that's, 3,000 people with their phones out trying to get it going and with good, push. So
yeah, I think that because I'm studying, music business now in school, and that's so common, like concerts have gone away. What will be the short-term replacement, like live streaming, and then moving forward, hybrid, just how you said. So that's really interesting that a venue such as your capacity, which 2,100 people, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask, many people who have just graduated, Isla's one of our recent graduates as well, and people who are entering into their junior or senior year, maybe have a semester left, are quite worried about their job prospects because specifically there's been so many people in entertainment and hospitality that have been laid off, furloughed, that they will have to compete with when they're trying to apply for new jobs. What advice do you have for some of the newer entries into the job market so that they don't lose hope?
Ooh, now you're going to make me be that inspirer of hope.
Yes.
Awesome. You're making me work for it today, guys.
We did our homework.
I came out with my MBA in 2008. In, like I said, one of the worst recessions that our country had seen at that time. And I will be very honest with you guys. I did not start at the salary. I didn't even start with a full-time job when I started my first job out of college. But I got my foot in the door somewhere that I thought would be good for my progression, for my career. Is it exactly what I wanted to do? No, absolutely not. But was it on the right path or what I thought would be my path? Absolutely. I held down 2 other jobs to get myself through financially during that time. So I was doing my gig, I was working the job that I thought was going to help get me forward in my professional career. And then I was teaching swim lessons and tutoring at like a math center, and that's okay. You do what you got to do to survive, right? We will get through this the same way that we've always gotten through. There will be a tomorrow. There will be a day when we all get together and and celebrate those concerts again. So you got to figure out how to push forward. I'm very impressed with some of my team right now who unfortunately had to be furloughed because of, coronavirus. They're going back to college and they're taking classes. They're going to bartender school so that when they do get back, they can hop behind the bar and make your gin and tonic just as well as our bartenders can. They're picking up traits and skills that may have nothing to do with special events, but those kinds of things are keeping them inspired and they're pushing them forward. So for those of you just graduating, don't lose hope. And there is no harm, no foul, no shame in baristaing right now to get you through until the next thing comes. There's no harm, no shame in moving back in with your folks, or taking something that isn't what you want out of life. I think that those of us that hire and are in positions of power, if you will, are going to look at graduates in this time, and we're not going to judge you based on a gap, I would say, in your employment. We're not going to judge you on a gap, say, in your education at this point in time. We're just going to want to know how you made it happen after you got out of this, where you went from there. And I think that's going to be the most important thing. So don't lose hope. Do what you got to do to survive, and keep on trucking in the right direction.
Yeah. See what?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think there are many things we love about you, but one of the things that really sticks out to me is that you speak what the advice should be, but then you also put into action for yourself. Because if I'm correct, you just finished the certification program from Florida Atlantic, I believe, kind of learning more tools yourself as well. Correct?
I did. I love learning. Honestly, I wish I could do more of it. I wish someday that I can teach my learning to other people too, because I think that someday getting the opportunity to teach, and you probably know this, Professor Roberts, gives you the opportunity to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that any professor that goes out there that thinks they know everything without consulting their own, reading materials is full of it. So, there's a point in my life where I want to go out to teach just to be able to give myself that bandwidth to learn again. But yeah, I got the chance to do the FAU course in hospitality management. And, that, for those of you that don't know about that, look it up. I'm not sure if they're still accepting people for their 19th wave. It is incredible, guys. FAU is a great school to begin with, but kind of unknown, I would say, at least out on this coast.
Right.
As an Orlando native, we knew where they were at. We knew what they were doing. They opened up an online course in hospitality management, and it was free. And because they knew people were, either laid off, furloughed, trying to figure out what their next thing was. And it was a certification program. It was 15 hours of instructional material. A lot of it, again, was very resilience based. It was hopeful. It was, here's where we're going to go from here. They had 70,000 people throughout the world that signed up, so many that they couldn't even start their first, cohort at the right time. Right. And they've been giving our industry and people in our place, a shining hope. So, I was very lucky to get to do something like that. I love all of the learning tools and the free learning that's coming out of this coronavirus. Unintentional, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much of it out there that I do try and keep up. I don't know everything, guys. Yeah. I am surprised by things every single day. But I'm open to trying to fix that.
Yeah, just props to you for putting your words into action, because many people talk about it but don't do anything. So props to you. And I'll agree with you. I learn as much from my students as I do when I'm teaching them, as they learn from me. And it's a great kind of ping pong tennis match back and forth. So it's you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And over to one of my former students, Isla. Your turn.
Hey.
Bet you up.
I had a question. Oh, what's your favorite event that you've done, or top favorite that you top three?
Give us a 3. Yeah, give us top 3. Won't let you
my favorite. Oh man, favorite of all time. I got to do a 60th birthday party for a very well-known, well-respected business leader in the Orange County community. And she and her husband may own a professional sports team in the area. And they had a lot of the players coming, but what they really did was they allowed me and my team to help steer them in the right direction to choose a theme and then to run with it. So at the time, Sons of Anarchy was very big. Ooh. So we did a whole kind of high-end biker glam event for them. we just decked out our space with, just ridiculous amounts of rentals and floral and linens and little entertainment side pieces. And then the head of the night was a comedy set by Howie Mandel. And then at the concert, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. And
awesome.
And I will tell you, I don't do what I do because of the stars, but the moments that I have with people who I've idolized my entire life they help me through the bad times. Let's just say that. So as I'm standing backstage and somebody grabs at my feather earrings and I turn to the side and it's Steven Tyler and he looks at me and he goes, "Girl, where'd you get these? I need me a pair of those." And I'm like, let me take them out of my ears for you. Like, yeah, just down in history is one of those top moments of, that is why I taught swimming lessons and I, worked at the whatever to get me through the bad times, because someday, maybe in my soul, I knew I was going to be standing backstage with Steven Tyler. One of my other favorite events to do was back when I was at Universal. I managed a lot of the events that happened on City Walk, which is our dining and entertainment district outside the theme park. And we did a huge event for Holyfield and Pacquiao when they were doing their big fight. And at the time, we had a bunch of the fighters, and one of the fighters was very good friends with 50 Cent. Mm-hmm. So it was like 50 Cent and his entourage, and then all these fighters. And something happened with security, and I don't remember what it was, but the crowd rushed us as we were trying to get out the back door. So here I am, literally smashed between like four of the greatest fighters of that age of the time, right?
Right.
And 50 Cent and about five other, giant bodyguards. And I'm just looking around going, if this is my time to die, I guess this is a pretty cool place to do it, this is the stampede that takes me out. But, it was one of those moments where you're just going, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. But again, you barista your way through to the next, 50 Cent moment.
Great stories. You have good stories. We have to have story time with Katie coming up soon. We'll have that.
Yeah, we should.
When it's not 90 degrees.
We'll find an air conditioner.
Exactly. Pull up a chair, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
I first met you through Marilis Kroc from Visit Anaheim. And Marilis and I go way back to our Marriott days. But that was a good example of networking, and it's like who you know. How important has networking been to your career personally and professionally?
Oh, so important. The only reason I ended up back out here in California with a job. Now, I ended up back out here and I would have had to move home during the worst, during that 2008 time. But my networking back in Orlando and one of my good mentors / friends, because I would say at this point in time, he has become one of my best friends in the industry, though there is definitely an age gap between us and there was a mentorship relationship that started there. I called him up and I said, "Hey, I'm out in LA and I need your help. Who do you know?" And he, without questioning, picked up the phone, started writing emails, and within a day, I had an interview at Universal Studios in LA. Mm-hmm. And again, it was for a contracting position. It wasn't full time. It wasn't. They couldn't promise me anything. I didn't know how long I'd be there. Didn't have benefits because it was a contracting position, but it was something, and it got me back in the industry. And that opportunity, again, I can never repay anyway.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
And where I am because of Eric Marshall in Orlando, Florida. Thank you, Eric Marshall. So
there you go. Love it.
Awesome.
What advice do you give to students who are scared of networking or nervous, or they just really are looking at it with a large amount of trepidation? How do you coach them through that?
I don't like networking either. I'm not going to lie to you. No, I don't know that anybody truly does. maybe those people are, on their way to being, serial killers or murderers if they really like that kind of stuff. But I would say, what, networking is a part of any industry. It's a part of any situation. What's the worst that somebody's going to tell you? That's what I would always tell myself, right? I walk up to a table and I stick my hand out or I start a conversation. What is the worst thing that could happen? They walk away. They tell you no, It's the same. Somebody once told me it was the same principle in a dating book that they read,
Yeah.
What's the worst that someone's going to say? Hey, can I buy you a drink? Would you like to go on a date with me? No. Oh my God, I'm going to die. No. The world will end and I will crumble here. No, you have to hear no. I mean, this is a great, tool for the rest of your life. You'll hear no more than you'll ever hear yes. But the yeses you get will be inspirational for the rest of your career. They'll create friendships and relationships that will bring you business, get you your next job, push you forward. So that's kind of the way I look at networking, right? It's a necessary evil for everything that we do. And every time I walk in a room, I am ready to hear no, but I am hopeful that one of those yeses is going to be that next big thing for me, for my intern, for my company. So
yeah. You're preaching to the choir on a Friday. So thank you for that. Isla, over to you.
Okay, so in regards to what you do for your job, how do you approach relationship building with clients at different stages of the selling process, and how you go through all that?
That's a great question. I think that was actually a question on Saturday.
Don't.
No, that's okay. And I'll give you a similar answer to what I gave on Saturday. I consider myself a chameleon to situations, and what I mean by that is relationships are paramount. They are the most important thing to any deal, any sale, any event that I do. I have to create, maintain, and follow through with a relationship with that person. They need to feel comfortable with their money and their event and maybe their profession in my hands, right? And very quickly in that interaction, that relationship, I find the things that we have in common. Right. So I've lived a lot of places in my life. I speak a couple different languages. I've got a very eclectic music background. So in the first, I would say 10 minutes that I'm with you, I'm just going to start jabbering and I'm going to listen to what you say. Listening is very important. And I'm going to pick up on what you're throwing down. Right. Oh, you're a Prince fan too? Oh my God. Oh, you're from Minnesota. Have you ever been to Paisley Park? I love Prince too. Let's be best friends. Are you from Minnesota? Because all of a sudden I start talking with the O's of my ancestors, and we are we're going to eat cheese curds on a roof. What else? Florida, Texas. You like rap and hip hop music. I once was hanging out with Chris Brown backstage of Universal Studios in Orlando. What is it, right? There's got to be something that we have in common. That's the beauty of humanity. Is I don't care who you are. You could be idealistically, politically on a completely different plane than me. There's something that you and I have in common, and we'll figure it out really quickly. And that will be the basis for my relationship with you later, right? Yes, I'm trying to work with you and get your business and create that sale. But if you feel comfortable with me, and you know that I know you, and I'm going to send you the next article about Paisley Park. I'm going to ask you how your child is doing during quarantine because, oh my gosh, my 3.5-year-old is going bonkers. Are you doing distance learning? It's going to turn what should normally be a transaction into an act of humanity. Mm-hmm. And that I think is the driving force behind most of what I do. And what I preach to my team too is if you can create a relationship rather than a sale, you will be exponentially more influential and you'll make more money at the end of the day. And that's just what's going to happen. That's a perk.
I think in class, when we talk about the beauty of sales, I'm going to take this just 2-minute clip and just play it for you and be like, that's it. We're on to the next lesson. So I think you've given me a great clip for that.
Copyright. Yeah, right.
There you go. We'll give you all due credit.
Yeah.
When you look at your career, what's next for you? So it's like a 2 or 3 part question. First question for that kind of subject would be, what kind of skills are you looking forward to learning next?
That is a wonderful question. I love the sale and I love the interaction at the, we'll call it the ground level. But I think in my career, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, I've found that I love the mentorship, the leadership aspect of it more. So I think my next career move will be, managing at more of a 30,000 foot level down, people who might be in my position or in the sales or special events position, helping find the tools and the ability for them to answer the right questions, move in the right direction, reorganize a structure, launch a new facility, a new venue, a new brand. I love the creativity of things like that too. So for me, I think my learning efforts will obviously always be about staying current in what I do. But I'm always reading books about and learning more about leadership and how to hone those skills so that someday I can be that strategic and that successful and inspirational, if you will.
Yeah. You're on your way. Yeah.
Started from the bottom. Now
we're here. Yes. Now we're here. Yes. We'll play the clean version. Don't worry. We'll play the clean version.
Yeah. There you go.
You said books. You said books. And so before I turn it over to Isla, because we're almost out of time, this goes by so fast. Any books you would recommend? Because we have a lot of reading time now. Any books you recommend we should read about, like leadership, business, or it could be a book about fun, something like Mind Candy. What books come to mind?
This is going to be a strange answer to your question. But some of the most helpful books for me over the last few years have actually been autobiographies of people who struggled in their lives to get to where they're at. So Tiffany Haddish, The Last Black Unicorn.
Oh, great book.
Great book. And if you get it as an audio book, she actually reads it for you. So you hear her voice and everything that she's saying. Trevor Noah's autobiography that's just come out in the last couple of years. The people who have had maybe a different struggle than your own, and this is just not to be preachy. Honestly, a great thing to do in our current environment anyway is to give yourself perspectives that are not your own. I've learned more from those kind of books and that kind of reading, or that kind of, I do a lot of audiobooks when I was driving back and forth to work. Those things have impacted me more in learning how to be a better person and a better leader and a better, understander. That's not the right word, but of the world around me. And given me more of that humanity that is going to make me a better leader.
I remember, and Tiffany Haddish, it's art. She has some R-rated parts in the book, and the story she tells.
So
yes, parental discretion is advised, whatever they say. The story she has when she dated this one handicap guy was hilarious. Like when she was telling that story, it was hilarious. And then when so Trevor Noah used to be a DJ in South Africa and everything, so he tells stories about that, and then he also talks about how he wasn't allowed to be out in public for so much time because he was a mixed child and it was illegal in South Africa. So he talks about having to hide and run and do things at nighttime. It's amazing. So 2 great book recommendations. I'll let you kind of ask our last question, then we'll let Katie be about her day.
Okay. So the second you get back to work and everything is mostly normal, what are you most looking forward to?
Honestly, being able to sit and face-to-face interact with my team. I've got an incredible group of all women, wasn't meant to be that way, but it ended up being that way. I've got an incredible group of women that work for me, work with me, and they are truly family at the end of the day. So the hardest part about this time has been the disconnect and or feeling like I'm losing family as the furloughs have gone on. 5 of my team of 10 are at one point in time interns of mine. That either timing was right, I hired them straight out of an internship, or they went off and they worked their swimming teaching jobs and they did their things and they baristaed, or they got their couple years in the industry and then I got them back. So especially for some of them or some of the ones that I've worked with for 7 or 8 years and I've seen grow from, coordinators on up. I have a lot of respect for them, but I have a lot of emotional, built in that relationship. So for me, getting to sit down around the table with my family again, and break bread and have those conversations and get back to it is going to be, I think, one of the best feelings in the whole wide world.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for appearing on our show. We really appreciate the wisdom and advice you've given us. Special shout out to Isla, bringing the heat questions. Great job again. Your third time. Great questions, Isla.
Anytime.
Yes. So Katie, stay safe. Keep in touch. We love that you work with us so closely with our program. We're going to see you. Hopefully we got another event coming up in October. So we'll keep you posted on that. But just thanks for your partnership and have a great weekend and stay safe.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Stay sane.
We will. We're going to show you all who's coming up next week. And everyone else out there, tune in next week and stay safe. We will see you soon.
Next week's guest is Clark Jones. Clark is currently the Vice President and Site CFO of Finance, Revenue Planning, and Special Events at the Disneyland Resort. Clark has been at the Walt Disney Company for over 25 years with experience in attractions, marketing, operations, finance, special events, and much more. He is the chairman of board of directors at Visit Anaheim and is an active EHM advisory board member. Please join us next week as we chat with Clark Jones.